back to our Project 55 93 Cobra. Now, it's a really exciting time with this car. The car is at the paint shop. I know it's actually been painted already. I've gotten some sneak peeks from the body shop. It looks absolutely amazing. All of our engine parts are here too. We got our rods, pistons, crank. Basically, the motor is ready to go together. But today, we built these custom seats. Now, with the interior, I wanted to keep the original theme with the original color with a little bit of a customization. Well, TMI hit it out of the park. That it sends these custom seat covers with custom foam, and today we're going to show you how to assemble them. All right, so if you missed it back in episode 9, we took the seat apart, stripped it completely down, and then welded it to fix the notorious gangster lean these seats are known for. So the seat basically is ready to be upholstered. Before we do that though, we're gonna take it apart again and just clean it up. Throw some paint on the springs, some paint on here, make it look a lot nicer before we actually put our brand new upholstery on. We're going to clean off some of the grime left by the old foam. I'm going to use a little solvent prep here to kind of clean up everything. I'm not worried about the prep being perfect here because it's going to be underneath the cover, but at least want to get it clean as possible. Make it look good. All right, so we're ready to begin actually upholstering this seat. Now, this is a job, if you can get a second set of hands, preferably a set of smaller hands, which in this case I didn't, but still, it'll make it a lot easier. There's places where you're gonna have to kind of hold the foam and clamp it on. Again, it's a two-man job for sure. We're gonna start though with the foam. Just get this on here, make sure it goes over the adjustable bolsters. Now, we'll have to trim the sides. We're gonna start off in the front. This is the bracket here for our power seat. If you actually look, the foam already has a cutout in place. So if you do have a power seat, you start just by cutting this out here. Okay, and I'm going to trim over here on the side as well. Now, out of your original upholstery, when you took it apart, you want to save these 3 rods for the bottom. There's additional ones we'll need for the top. These are going to be basically your side listing rods, and this one will basically go right in here. Now, we're going to show you basically up close on the foam without the upholstery where this will actually go, because once we're putting the upholstery on, it'll be very, very hard to see. So when this rod is installed on the upholstery, there's going to be a channel this is going to go on. And what you're going to do is basically in the back here, there's going to be a hook. You'll push that through till it's under the hook, and then you'll push the upholstery down, and then right down here is the factory location. We'll either use a hog ring or the original clamp if it survived. So basically it'll be just like that when it's clamped on and installed. At the beginning of the upholstery install, you want to start by basically putting it inside out. That'll allow us to make the connections we need to the foam and the frame, and then we can stretch it over the seat bottom. We start with the bottom because I think the bottom actually is a little bit harder than the top. I'm not going to say either one is easy, but if you can do the bottom, you should definitely be able to do the top. Now, this is one of those listing channels I discussed. You've got one here in the middle, then 2 on each side, 1 on each side for 2 total. What you're going to do is basically put this through here, get it centered, and then down here in this channel right here, there'll be another rod buried in the foam. What you're gonna do is basically get this down into that channel where that metal rod is, and then use some hog ring pliers and hog rings to hold it in place. Put 1 in the middle and 1 on each side. Again, here you wanna make sure, especially in our case with the stripe, you get it as centered as possible. Lock it on, and then 1 more on each side. The best thing to do is to kind of hook the top with the hog ring, and then get underneath the bottom and then squeeze, and that'll pull them together. Now again, you can see the loop back here once it's through. So I trimmed back a little more foam here than I normally would have. I just want to make sure you guys see what happens here. This hoop is part of the foam, so the rod has to go through that, then it'll connect to the frame in the front. This is where those extra set of hands come in handy. I'm pushing down on the rod itself and Brennan's twisting it into the factory clamp. Once we get it started, we can actually flip the seat over and get it easier from the bottom. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and once you have it seated, use whatever pliers you can get in there, and clamp it down. Once we have it tight, we're actually gonna throw an extra hog ring on there just for some extra protection. Okay, now we're gonna come over here, do the same thing on the other side. All right, and now start stretching it basically over the frame. Basically get these clips on these edges here. Now, it's easier said than done. You will just work with this part. There is no trick to it. Make sure it's not cold out. Make sure the upholstery is as warm as possible. Let it sit out in the sun if you have to. Basically, at this point, just stretch it, make it go on. Brennan made the first one's always the easiest. That's cool. Now mine's like 3 feet off. Once everything's stretched and where it's going to be, remove the rear line. We still have to make a hole for the lumbar. We want to put it together first and make sure everything fits where it's supposed to before we cut any holes in our material. The line is right here. What we're going to do is basically figure out right where it's going to go through. Make a hole through the foam and then also through the upholstery. All right, now the bottom's assembled, we have to cut some holes out here. This is the hole for the lumbar. Basically push down till you see it pop out. Make a little X over the top of it. Slide this back on and thread it in. Now for the lumbar here, what you want to do, you actually feel the frame. There'll be 2 hard points here where your screws go. The middle is going to be open. So you want to start with the middle. Again, just do an X, then use a pick to find the other holes. And of course, don't forget to plug it in. Air lines are connected, we're good. Okay, now moving on to the seat back. You're gonna start by basically fitting the foam over the seat frame. Stretch it down the bottom here underneath and hook it on. All right, to make things easier now, you're gonna wrap the seat in a plastic bag. Use a trash bag. Honestly, the thinner and cheaper the bag is, the easier this will be. This will make it much, much easier to slide the upholstery over the front. Just like before, take the upholstery, turn it inside out. Okay, the listing channel on this, you actually have to cut. It's easier to go right here, kind of in the corner where the stitching is. Just cut it right there. And same thing over here. These are the 3 listing rods you'll need from the factory seat, the 2 larger ones for the side, and only 1 small one for the top. Your factory seat uses 2 of these. You're only gonna need 1 for your TMI though. All right, so basically gonna push this down over the top of the seat. Okay, just like before, line up the upholstery. We're gonna hog ring in the middle. And make sure it is centered. You can adjust a little bit later, but get as close as you can. All right, now basically once you have it hog ringed on, you just have to work the upholstery down the seat. All right, now you're gonna grab the larger listing rod, put it into the listing channel on the seat. All right, so just like on the rear seat, when the listing rod goes down the listing channel, it comes to the top of the foam, there is a round piece basically at the end here that it has to go underneath. This is kind of hard. It's almost impossible to see. You kind of have to guide it in. We found if you use 2 people, the easiest thing to do is I actually can push the rod down up here while having Brendan push from that direction, and you can sort of feel when it goes underneath the metal. He can reach in and get it lined up, but once you really start pushing, you just can't see in there at all. Putting your fingers in a corner like this and helping also makes it so you don't mistakenly put it through the vinyl. There you go. Now push. Now you're in. There we go. You know you have the rod seated properly. You'll actually have tension. You'll feel a spring to it. Like I said, you're going to feel it pushing up here, but it'll actually hold the upholstery up. Now do the same thing on the other side before we clamp them down with some more hog rings. All right, now you want to push this down and line it up with this, and you want to use a bunch of hog rings, at least 4 per side here. Like I said, this does have tension on it. Then hook it together. I'm going to put the cover on for the release. Now this actually goes upward. Just want to cut out a little bit more here. Probably goes without saying, but make small cuts. Now we're going to cut out for the headrest. That is pretty far down here. The base is pushed down so you find where it sits. Cut a slit, then grab the factory trim. Lock it in place. Now we're ready to build our headrest. Start by popping these little nails out. Just tear off the old upholstery. Now take note of the orientation of the new upholstery. You got a dip in the front here, matches the shape there. And put a bag over to make it easier. And you pretty much just have to stretch this on. Hands aren't tired by now, they will be after this. And then reinstall the nails. All right, so once your headrest is assembled, basically line up the channel. And we're ready to assemble the seat. All right, before we assemble the seat, on the one side, both bolt holes are visible, and on this side over here, they are not. So make sure your upholstery is seated where you want it. There's a bracket here, and you follow it up. It's almost like a step down, and you'll feel right where the hole is. What you want to do is just kind of carefully cut out around that spot. All right, line it up and start on the side where you just cut out. Since the other side, like I said, there is no upholstery, makes it a little bit easier. Okay, I can reinstall the cover for the hinge. And now we're going to use a steamer on this. If you don't have one of these, you can actually just put it outside and kind of accomplish the same thing. What I'm trying to do is add a little bit of heat to take out some of the wrinkles in it. I'm thrilled with the way my TMI seats came out. I'll be the first to admit I am not an upholsterer. I'm actually not very good at this. It's one of the hardest things I think there is to do, but I think they came out pretty good. I mean, the color looks great, and I love the fact that we're keeping the original color, the original theme of the car, but a little bit of customization to make it set it apart. Again, this is just the front seats we're doing now, but we do have matching rear upholstery, matching door panels, even matching headliner we'll install when the car comes back. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Our car will be back from paint next week.